What's up? What's up? Like I said, I need to start going live, but instead I just do videos and then I'ma just upload them on Facebook. But I'm finna drop some knowledge on allegories and what allegory is. An allegory is basically any story, whether it's a poem or a picture or a movie that basically reveals a hidden message or any type of subliminal message. And today I want to talk about the subliminals and the allegories of your lower nature and your higher self and what that is. So I'm going to be speaking about the Baphomet symbol and how that's a representation of your lower nature and your higher self. And I'm going to also be speaking about certain movies that you can also find this hidden message in. As far as in movies like Shrek, video games as well, like Crash Bandicoot, and the Bible, when it comes down to Jacob, or basically Jacob becoming Yeshael, changing his name, fighting with the angel. And me speaking on this, I'm speaking a Masonic language, because this is how they see things or how they view things. This is their perception of it, which they say allegorical or esoteric, only meant for a few, the chosen ones, I guess. But today I'm finna speak about lower nature and the higher self. And first I'm gonna get on with speaking about the Baphomet symbol. For the ones that don't know, just Google Baphomet symbol and you will see like the goat, and with his one finger pointed down and one up, with the pentagram on his head, like on his forehead, representing your lower nature or your animal nature. And it's basically a representation of it basically all deals with your sexual desires, Hold on, let me back it up, because I want y'all to understand what's going on. Like I say, I'm speaking about allegories and what allegories is. And on the allegorical level, or in the allegorical sense, the pineal gland, on a biological level, is represented as Lucifer, allegorically and biologically. Your pineal gland is represented as Lucifer. The etymology of Lucifer goes back to the Latin word lucifere, which means light barrier. And the reason why they call your pineal gland the light barrier, because it bears the light. The light is your soul. And then you have what they call the princess, or the prince. No, I'm going to say the prince. The prince is basically your solar plexus, which deals with willpower, having the will to do something. And you got the princess, which also represents the pineal gland as well. But it's preserving or saving the pineal gland, or saving your soul, or dissolving the ego. That's what the princess is. And then you have what you call the dragon or the serpent. Some say the devil, right? Which is your lower chakras. For the ones that don't know, just look up chakras and Google images and you'll see what chakras look like. Chakra is a Sanskrit word that means will. So they like little vortexes of energy, But when you dealing with your lower nature, as far as in your sacral and your root, that deals with your animal nature. And that's also represented as the serpent or the dragon. And like I said, the whole concept or the whole ideology is about going from your lower nature to your higher self and sparking your pineal gland and waking up your soul, because your soul is basically not woke. when you go through the spiritual process of waking up the soul, your soul become activated as you go through these spiritual techniques that allow the soul to wake up, like which they call pranayama, dealing with your Ida Nadi and your Pingala Nadi. Your Pingala Nadi is connected and it's associated with your pineal gland, and your Ida Nadi is associated with your pituitary gland. Your Pingala Nadi and Pingala in Sanskrit, that's basically dealing with your solar channel. That's what Pingala means, solar or sun. Nadi channel. Ida is basically like your lunar or your moon channel, and it's all in your body. And it's nerves that basically your Pingala, it runs on the right side and crosses over through your sacrum, and your Ida comes from your root chakra and crosses over your Agnaya, which is your third eye chakra, but it's also connected to your what? Your pituitary gland, and your Pingala is connected to the pineal gland. And like I say, this is all about waking up the soul, igniting your soul. Your once thine eye be single, your whole body is filled with light, and that's what it's about. And then once that happens, you go through this process. The brain cells that's in your brain, that was dormant, basically, they become activated, and you become super intelligent, real smart, psychic powers, stuff like that. And the blood cells become rejuvenated and revived. So now that's another way of having longevity or a longer lifespan. All right. Like I told you, the pineal gland is basically represented as Lucifer on a biological level, right? Your lower chakras, it deals with your sexual desires, like your root. It deals with material things, survival, foundation, stability, and everything else. And your sacrum deals with, that's where your sexual organs and all is basically at. So it deals with lust, desire, basically sex. So you got to know how, when that time come, because it's basically like a sexual, like, okay, every time the moon is in your zodiac, something happens, right? When the moon is in your zodiac, it basically, your pineal gland, or I would say the claustrum, your claustrum releases a oil, like semen, like sexual oil, and it goes all the way down from your medulla oblongata. First it goes to the pineal gland, to the pituitary gland, to the medulla oblongata, passes the pons all the way down. You know, it goes through the Ida Nadi and Pingala Nadi, and it goes all the way down to your root chakra. And then something happens. A seed is being planted, and then this seed allows electromagnetic energy, basically electricity and magnetic energy, to come up and spark the pineal gland, and basically a marriage going on between the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and your soul wakes up, and you no longer egotistical. All right. So I just want to get that out the way. That's what the whole thing about sacrificing your sexual desires. That's the reason why you sacrifice sex. That's why you got some Rastafarians believe women are devils, or they feel like pussy is Satan or pussy is the devil. You know, some Rastafarians believe that, and I can understand where they're coming from, because it keep you from reaching your godhood or your higher state of consciousness, having sex a lot. So your lower nature is basically the dragon, like I say, and the prince is your solar plexus, which deal with willpower. So you got to have the willpower, which is the prince, and the prince got to slay the dragon. And your dragon is represented as what? Your lower nature, or your lower two chakras, your root chakra and your sacral chakra. So you got to slay the dragon, meaning slay your sexual desires. You got to conquer your sexual desires with your willpower, so you could be able to have the willpower to activate your soul, so I could go through the process of waking up. And when you slay the dragon to what? Save the princess. The princess is basically your pineal gland. So once you slay the dragon, which is your lower nature, you can save the princess, which is a representation of your pineal gland, and dissolving the ego. and waking up the soul. And I want to basically speak about a movie that you can also see this symbolism or this allegory or the subliminal message in, and that's Shrek. When you see Shrek, he's a representation of your lower nature. He's the ogre. He go around doing stupid shit. And he's always with a donkey. The donkey represents what? Your lower chakras, the ass. You know it like a jackass. It represents the ass. So basically, you and your lower nature, your animal nature, that's a representation of what Shrek was basically in. He was a representation of your lower nature. And then what he had to do, he had to go save the princess. And when he saved the princess, he realized she was a reflection of him. And that's going back to your pineal gland. When you go through this process, that's why the pineal gland is called your epiphysis gland or your epiphany gland, because you have an epiphany and DMT is being released, which give you an OBE, and you basically looking in the mirror at a reflection of who you are. So you meeting your higher self, speaking with your higher self. And Shrek is a representation of that. When he went up the castle to save the prince, he realized like, wow, not at the time, but she finally exposed herself, and he basically was looking in the mirror at himself, because she was also an ogre. She was a reflection of who he was, basically. So like I said, Shrek is basically a subliminal message of what the lower nature is like, and he's always hanging with the donkey, which represents your lower nature, and then he had to go save the princess from the castle, right? And once he got to the princess, which is the pineal gland, right, he noticed a reflection of him. So he basically was speaking with his self, a reflection of himself, and that's what actually goes on in the real world. When you activate the pineal gland, your soul wakes up and ignites, and you can have an OBE, and you can have an epiphany, and talk to your higher self face to face. And that's the same thing Masons believe when it come down to Jacob earning the name Yisrael, because Yisrael means prince of power or a powerful prince. And they basically, when he was wrestling with the angel, in the allegorical sense, they feel like he was wrestling with his lower nature, conquering his sexual desires, so he could be able to speak with his higher self, another part of him. He basically had an epiphany when he fell into a deep sleep,